Hi, I'm Cherie and I'm a WGU nursing student, and I wanted to talk to you guys today about the nursing course scholarship. I was awarded last year, which would have been 2024. I had to think about that for a second. And this scholarship, it's a blessing and a curse. It is both. It really depends on the person and your need. So in this video, with the deadline coming up and I think like 5 days, it's really close. I wanted to explain the application process for anybody that's still filling yours out. And if you have not filled yours out yet, do not panic. It is a lot of work, but you can do it, because I found out about the scholarship like less than a week before it was due, and I made it happen. And honestly, without the scholarship, I would not be a nursing student right now. So I'm so thankful that I found it. So do not fret if you have not done it yet. I'm going to help you out. We're going to be okay here. Okay. So let's get started. Also, just a side note, I am filming for my truck. I'm sorry, but I travel full time and everyone is still asleep in my house. I don't want to wake them up. And it's raining, but we have a nice, beautiful ambiance now. No music needed. Also, I'm trying to do this without editing anything so I can get it out faster. So I'm not going to do any edits. I'm sorry. I know that kind of makes the video choppy and weird. Just roll with me, okay? All right, so let's go over. I'm going to begin with the application process, and then at the end, I'm going to give my own personal experience on the scholarship and the pros, the cons. So if you're looking for the application process, stay towards the beginning. And if you're looking for my personal experience to know how it goes after you're awarded, stay tuned to the end. All right, so eligibility requirements. You must be an undergraduate or graduate student in a 4 to 2 year college. You cannot be doing dual credits like being in high school and college at the same time. You cannot be in high school to get the scholarship. You must be a full-time student, and it's only for nursing students, which is probably obvious. Also, you have to be starting school, I believe it's September or August. I don't have it in front of me. I was trying to look through my notes, and that's what I'm doing. If I look down, I'm looking at my notes. Hold on, my camera turned off here. Oh, almost dropped you. Oops. Okay. The things you'll need on the application is this is kind of like paperwork stuff. You'll need an authorization to release information that your school will help you with if you ask them. Proof of citizenship, verification of acceptance or enrollment in your school if you haven't started classes yet. Your official student aid report. You can get this on the FAFSA website. Super easy to get. It's not that hard, but when you do log in, it used to be called, it used to be called something else. It is called that report now though. So once you go in, to the FAFSA website and go into your profile, you'll see that report as an option there in your profile. And you'll need your current tuition and fee schedule, and proof of any certifications you already have. If you're already a registered RN and you're going for your bachelor's, anything like that, they'll want all of that. Also, you cannot have any existing obligations. So I know a lot of nursing students are working with like a hospital, and the hospital helps pay for things as long as they come work with them after they become an RN or after they get their degree. If you're already an RN, you cannot have any other obligation that would hold you to your time being elsewhere, because that's part of the scholarship. How you pay back the money that they give you for school is service. So you cannot already be dedicated to something else. Okay, obviously the application form, that was super easy. Fill that out online. Financial need analysis. They will step you through that in the application process. Recommendations or references. Okay, they require 1 academic and 1 professional, like someone you worked with or someone that knows you very well. Now, if you do not have an academic reference, like you don't have anyone that you can ask to fill that out for you, you can have 2 professional references, but they do emphasize that they prefer an academic one. Now, you can reach out to anyone. If you haven't been out of school very long, you can reach out to a high school teacher. I have an associate's degree, so it's been like 3 years since I've been in school, but I still reached out to my professors and had no problem finding someone to do one for me. I was actually kind of shocked because I didn't really think that many people paid attention to me while I was there. Because the school I went to before was a community college, so there was just lots and lots of students. So I was shocked. They did awesome. And then I actually had my stepmom, so she has a different last name. I had her do my other one, my professional one, because I did used to work for her when she owned her own company. So things like that, you know, I would try to stay away from family members that have the same last name. Also, there is requirements that they have to put in that letter of recommendation. So you need to make sure that they get, because the email, when you log in, get back to my focus there, when you log into the application online, they will give you somewhere to put their name and their email, and they will send them the requirements and what they're asking for. And then they have to submit it back through that portal link. You can't just get it from them and submit the document. So tell them to please make sure they read those requirements, because it does ask them to tell them certain things about you. You will need a resume. If you are not good at making resumes, okay, check out Canva. Canva is awesome. There's all kinds of templates on there. They look beautiful. Find one that suits you, fill in your information, easy peasy. It doesn't have to be extensive, because you're not actually applying for the job, you're applying for the scholarship, but you will later be an employee of theirs. So you want it to look nice and professional, but they understand that you might not have any medical experience right now. You'll need transcripts from your school. So that, again, I got unofficial transcripts right from my website. That was super easy. And that's about all you'll need to turn in for the application process, except for the last thing is the essay. And I'm finding that essay question now for you. And it seems like, from my experience and the research I did when I was applying, all the requirements, the essay, all that seemed to stay the same throughout the years. So like the essay question I had should be the same as yours. It was the same as the year before. So I did look up the actual application packet that's on their website, and I'll link that somewhere in the description. And the essay question for this year is: describe what motivates you to be interested in providing healthcare to understand communities in support of the Nursing Corps Scholarship Program mission. Okay, so they put that in there for a reason. Make sure you go to their website and look up their mission statement, okay, because you want to include that in your essay. All right, and then the next part of it is: provide specific personal and professional experiences demonstrating your interest in positively impacting underdeserving communities. So participating in a federal pipeline program, community service, internships. If you have successfully completed participating in any federal pipeline programs, please highlight your experience in the essay and consider having a reference from one of the pipeline programs. Write one of your required letters of recommendation. So they want you to have someone from that pipeline program write your letter of recommendation. Okay, I have to say, I had no medical experience before this. So I didn't have a lot to highlight there. So I'm a mom, and any of you that are moms out there or dads, you understand that you have to almost be an unofficial nurse when you have children. They do crazy stuff all the time. So I wrote my experience about being a mom. I wrote about like the complications I had in the hospital with my oldest son, and that's what inspired me to want to do nursing, because I wanted to help others. Like, that nurse was there for me. So don't worry if you don't have any medical experience. Okay, that's not a instant out of the game thing. You just be honest. You know, be honest, speak from your heart. This whole scholarship is about getting nurses in critical need areas. And unfortunately, most of those critical need areas are in low income, poverty type areas. So if you have experience with that in any way, you know, that is another thing you really want to touch base on your essay. Another thing to remember when you're writing your essay is that essay isn't the make and break always for the scholarship. They take every single thing: your letters of recommendation, your financial need, your school, how much time you have left. I mean, they take everything in consideration. So, you know, just write from your heart. That's what's important. I went back and checked my essay like well after I got the application, because I was talking to someone else about the scholarship, and at that point I didn't even remember what I had written, and I went back to check, and I had at least a dozen grammar errors. Like, when I put it into Grammarly, oh my goodness, and I could not believe that I set it off that way. I thought I had checked everything, but I was so nervous. I guess I didn't, and I still was awarded. So don't go too hard on yourself. They're looking for someone that's compassionate, okay? And that was the exact same essay question that I had from last year too. So like I said, it's pretty safe to say it follows all the way through. And then once you turn all that in, what'll happen is they will have what people in the nursing groups I found called rounds. So the first round is they will start reading over everything, and you will get a email stating that, you know, they've got your application, they're checking it, all that good stuff. Then if you were sent to the next round, they'll do a background check on you. What they're looking for is that you don't have any federal debts. You can have student loans, because I had student loans on mine. They're just looking for, like, the way I understand it, of course, you know, I'm just an awardee, so don't hold me to it. If you have any exact questions, it's best to call the 1-800 number. But they're looking for, like, back taxes, lien, like tax lien kind of stuff, all like government owed money, because this is a government scholarship. So that's what they're looking for. They're not looking for, like, bad credit cards or student loans, or if you let a vehicle go back, or, you know, whatever may be on your credit. They don't care about any of that. So they'll do the background check next. And then after that, if you are considered a finalist, after they do the background check, they will send you a letter and say that you are one of the finalists, and they are looking through everything again, and they will notify you if you're awarded. From what I got on all the groups, and even from my group, because if you look, there's Facebook groups for each year. So when you go through, and the people I talked to on there from the previous year and my current year, if you get that email that says you are a finalist, you pretty much have the award. Like, you've been awarded the scholarship. They're just tying up some loose ends, and they'll ask you to submit some paperwork, some more paperwork from your school. I'm sorry, I don't remember what that paperwork was. I know it was a verification letter. It has to have the school seal on it. That one was kind of a pain in the butt to get. My school is remote and, you know, a virtual location. So if you can go in and sit in front of them and hound them, that is the best thing to do, because you only get like a week to turn all that stuff in. And like, they gave it, I'm pretty sure I got the letter on like a Thursday evening. So you had Friday, and then you went into a weekend. Oh, and it came over a holiday. That was the other problem. It came over a holiday. So like, my school was closed like 4 of those 7 days. So make sure, if you can go in and just sit in the financial aid office until someone sees you, I would do that. Or records, wherever your school makes you do that at. Okay, so other than that, that's kind of how the process goes. Then you'll be given a portal to set up your account, and then you'll be given one more chance to decline the scholarship. To say, no, I don't want it. And you would think, after you go through this whole process and you finally get awarded, who would want to decline it? I was shocked to see on my Facebook group the amount of people that went in and declined it because they got cold feet after reading bad reviews or talking to other people that had bad experiences. I was shocked. And I cannot believe, like, you're getting this amazing scholarship. Why would you decline it? So if you're looking for my personal review and the pros and cons, this is where we're at. We're going to take off from there, because I really don't have much else to tell you about the application process, except for those are the things you'll need. And obviously, to get them turned in, the sooner the better. But it really doesn't matter, like, just being the first one to turn it in or the last one on the last minute. They take them all into consideration, because like I said, I turned mine in with just a few days to spare, and I was still awarded. So the good and the bad of the scholarship, let's just go ahead and put it out there. The good is, obviously, it pays for your school 100%, all your tuition, except for taxes. So this is a taxable scholarship. So if you go to a really expensive school, more taxes are going to come out. You're still going to owe quite a bit. Where for me, we pay by the term. So my school's around $8,000 a term, and I end up paying, like, I think $700 or $800 after they take the taxes out. I still owe $700 or $800, so not too big a deal. I got another scholarship through my school that covers that. Oh, my seatbelt just took off. So that's not too bad for me. But for other people, if you went to a really expensive school, that might still leave you with a really big burden of tuition money to have to pay for, which might include taking out another loan. Obviously, keep looking for scholarships. Scholarships are always awesome. But that could be a con if you go to a really expensive school, because you might not be able to afford that difference. Another pro is you get a stipend every month. And for me, it's $1,500 before taxes. It does vary from year to year, so know that. They are reasonably good at getting it out on time. It's usually within give or take a week of the date. It's supposed to come like the third Wednesday of the month. But holidays and things like that can make a difference. I've heard some people say that they have horrible luck. They're not getting paid. I have not experienced that. I do know that if you don't keep up with stuff, that will delay payments and things, but I've not had that problem. And honestly, once you'll have the school send them an invoice, and you'll have to get a verification letter every 6 months. So that's another con, is every 6 months you have to get, or every term. It's every 6 months for me because the way my school's set up. But every new term, so spring, fall, summer, you'll have to fill out a thing on your portal. It's super simple. And then get a verification letter again from your school. For some reason, WGU has an awful time with wanting to get this. I don't know why it's such a big deal, but they do not want to do it. And they want all these requirements from the scholarship in order to send it over, and the scholarship doesn't want to give them. So I battle back and forth on that. But if you're keeping up with your verifications every term, and you're sending them the information, your transcripts for each term, and the invoice, your school sending over the invoice, you shouldn't have any problem with payments. I mean, obviously holiday delays, but there shouldn't be any problems there. So far the pros is tuition's paid except for taxes. You get the stipend. You also get what they call an other related credit. So October, I believe it's in October, you get, and it varies again by year and by where you go to, because I've seen all different amounts. Mine was around $2,000, but you get a one-time deposit of that $2,000 for any related school costs that you may need, whether it's laptop, internet, scrubs, lab kit, anything like that. You can use it. You don't have to submit any receipts. So again, that's a big bonus, for this scholarship. And it's great because when you first get the scholarship, they back pay for your summer. So like, I didn't have summer classes. I started in September, but I still got back pay to July. So I got a stipend for July, August, September, October, then the other related costs for October. So like, you get a very hefty deposit in the beginning, like thousands of dollars. So that is really helpful if you've been paying for school out of pocket and you're struggling. For me, I had exhausted all financial aid. I had no financial aid left from my first degree. I didn't qualify for student loans. I didn't have a co-signer because my husband's retired, so he had no income, and I don't have any family to co-sign for me. It's basically just us. So I had that issue. I had no way to get any other money. So without the scholarship, I would have had to turn down my nursing school, and that I would been miserable because this has been a big dream for a while. So this scholarship for me, 100% worth it. I mean, I'm getting money that I can stay home a little bit more to study. I don't have to work as much. My tuition is basically paid for, all positives. However, if you have to retake a class or if you fail a class, they will not pay, I guess same thing. The scholarship will not pay for you to retake that class. So for me at WGU, we are term-based, not class-based. So what that means is we pay a lump sum for the term and not pay per class. However, in order to send an invoice over to the scholarship, they have to do it per class. So I had one class that carried over. Like, I didn't finish it for 6 weeks, so it just carries over. They saw that as a retake, so they did not pay for that. And that was like $2,000 they didn't pay for this term. That hurt quite a bit financially. Luckily I have the stipend and stuff to help cover it, and my school gave me another scholarship, so that helped too. But just know that if you fail a class, they will not pay for you to retake it. That'll come out of your own pocket. You also have to stay full-time. And I know emergencies happened with my first degree. My husband's my father-in-law passed away, and there was just a lot that happened, and I had to take a term break during then. And with this scholarship, you are able to apply to take a term break, but know that your stipend stops, and that just kind of delays your service time with them. So they will do that, like if you have like maternity leave, things like that, they will work with you on it. It's just everything stopped, and it takes a minute to get your stipend and stuff going again. Just little FYI, from what I hear. I have not had to do that yet. This is just from what I hear. You have to stay full-time. If you drop below full-time, that's a breach of contract. So you have to stay a full-time student. And if at any point you breach your contract or you decide to quit, you have to pay back all the money that you have technically borrowed from them plus interest. And this is where some people got cold feet when they heard this. They got really nervous and decided not to take the scholarship. And it was because there are several people in the groups that talk about they had to stop due to medical reasons, or they decided to stay home with their kids or whatnot. And they owed so much money back that they've had to get lawyers. So as long as you intend on staying with the program and becoming a nurse, I would not worry about that. If you have any doubts though, then it might not be right for you, because it is a lot of money you're borrowing, especially depending on what school, because you're paying back the tuition, the stipend, the other related costs. It's a lot of money. So just make sure you're going to stick with this before you commit. Okay. The other con to this, and it may be a pro, it depends on how you look at it, is for every year that they help you, every school year. So like, even if you only did like one term, 6 months, you still owe them a year. But for every year of service that they give you, you have to give a year of service back in a critical needs location. Now, from what I hear, this is where a lot of people get stuck and upset, and it becomes a con, because unless you just live in a humongous city and you don't mind driving, most people have to move in order to meet that criteria. Now, if you went to the virtual meeting with them, the like Zoom meeting thing, I think they call it a webinar, they are very clear that you will probably have to move. And literally 85% of the people I've talked to have had to move out of state in order to meet that critical need location. So keep that in mind. A lot of people on the groups are upset. They don't want to leave family, friends. That's the only support system they have, the only sitters they have. They don't want to move, their spouse's job, whatnot. You more than likely will have to move out of state, or at least several hours away, in order to find a job that fits in the critical need. Now, if moving is not something you want to do, I would definitely back out of the scholarship. Now, for me, I travel full time, so I don't mind. Wherever the job is, I will just hitch up my home and take it with me, and I'm fine with that. So it's not a problem to me. It's worth that to be able to get the money to go to nursing school. So for me, it's a pro. For others, it would be a con. All right, the next thing you need to know is taxes. It is a taxable scholarship. However, it's weird, and I'm not a tax expert, so I'm not going to get into that on how it all works. But they don't take out all the taxes they're supposed to. So when you go to file your taxes, if you're not working, you don't have any dependents, I see a lot of people that are, I'm so sorry, my son was texting me, and we're going to the Corvette Museum today, and he wants to know where I'm at. My teen son, he's afraid that he missed the trip or something. But I've seen people owe lots of money. There was someone in particular in my Facebook group that owed over $5,000 to federal this year. I work full time and I have dependents, so I didn't owe anything. I got a normal tax check for me. But just know that, if you have a tax expert in your family, or if you have someone that does your taxes every year, you may want to have them look it over and maybe talk to you about it. But definitely know that you could owe a lot on taxes. Now, I did owe on state, but only like $200 when it was all said and done. But you probably will owe some amount of taxes when you go to do your taxes because of the way the scholarship's set up. Definitely talk to a tax expert. I know that there are deductions in certain things that you could apply for, since it is a school scholarship, that will help cushion that. But just know, if it's a real expensive school, you may be paying a lot of money. So that's another con to the situation. With schooling, okay, so if you go to a school like me that's term-based and not class-based on how they pay out for, or how they charge, I suppose you want to say, how they charge, know that the scholarship does not understand that. And they do have a 1-800 number. The 1-800 number will tell you nothing most of the time. They're very vague on everything and say they can't give you any information. Once you're an awarded scholar, you have to talk to it's kind of like an advisor that they assign to you. They'll assign a person to you to work with you the whole time, answer all your questions, ask you questions that the scholarship needs information on. They are kind of like your go-to person. However, you can only reach them by email. They don't take phone calls, and it makes it really difficult when you're trying to be the middleman between that person and your school. And I've explained the amount of emails, and this is for me where it's a curse, because I am so stressed at how much I have to work between the scholarship and my school to get them on the same page for the letters of verification, for the transcripts, for the invoice. It's a battle. It takes me at least 2 to 3 months to get those small amount of forms that you need to turn in each term, turn in between the two in order for my tuition to be paid out. And then by the time it's all said and done, it's time to start the next one. I'm not even kidding. So for me, that is the curse end of all of this. Everything else has been a blessing. I mean, I wouldn't be able to go to nursing school without this. I wouldn't be able to stay home as much as I can to study without this scholarship. So just know it really depends on the person. It can be a blessing, it can be a curse. You know, if you don't want to move, if you are worried about owing on taxes, things like that, if you're not comfortable, like if there's somewhere that you really want to work when you graduate, know that if they've helped you for 3 years, that is 3 years you have to work at one of their locations, not where you want to work. Even if, like, I know a lot of people during their clinicals get offered jobs, doesn't matter. You cannot accept those because you cannot be already a part of an organization, even if it is, that's the way I understand it, even if it is on the list of a critical needs location, you can't have any prior work experience or anything with them in order to take a job there. So it really limits people, and it makes it really hard to find work because everyone in your area you've probably done clinicals with, so that's why you have to move. But, you know, if you have no other options, in my opinion, if you have no other options like me, you've completely out of financial aid, you cannot get student loans, you can't afford to pay out of pocket, this scholarship is 100% for you because there are no other options. And if you want to be a nurse, they will make it happen.